My name is Rock Owens. I'm the manager of what we call the Environmental and Inspection Division of the County Attorney's Office. I don't manage all the county's environmental affairs. As a matter of fact, Bob Allen is also here, and he's in charge of pollution control. Bob and I work together. There are a lot of people that do a lot of things with the environment in Harris County. But I was the attorney that supervised the outside counsel that the county hired to file a lawsuit against International Paper, McGinnis Industrial Maintenance, and Waste Management. That case was a civil case, and it's completely separate and apart from the EPA Superfund process. The Superfund laws provide that the people that are responsible for the contamination at the site have to clean it up. And as part of that process, explain briefly a little bit how that works. The government can go out, under the law, go out and clean it up itself, the federal government, and then they can go ahead and then seek to recover that money, or as is most often the case, because that's very expensive to taxpayers, and you don't know if you're going to get your money back when you do it that way, they negotiate with the people that put the waste in the ground, and that's what happened here. The EPA contacted these parties, got an agreement with them saying that there was an agreed order, court order. They agreed that they would study the site, suggest a number of remedies to the EPA about how it could be cleaned up, and then ultimately that they would pay to do that. That's one process. And where we are in that process right now, and Jackie just mentioned that the EPA is looking at maybe having a proposed cleanup remedy to present to the public for comment in September. The county has addressed not just the lawsuit that we filed, but we're involved very much in both parts of this process. On the Superfund side of the issue, I've been working with some attorneys that we hired that work directly for the county, along with some engineering firms, to review the work that has been done by those people that were hired by the companies with the waste out there in the process of developing those studies that the EPA would look at. Where we are with that right now is there were some preliminary suggestions published by the consultant for what they call responsible parties for waste management, for international paper, for McGinnis. And that company's work was reviewed by the county and other governmental entities, and quite frankly we found it lacking. Our engineers advised us to submit comments to the EPA that suggested that we didn't find that information being presented credible, and along with information submitted from our office, along with others, for example, a professor at A&M, Jackie's familiar with, submitted some information to. The EPA decided to send those studies to the Army Corps of Engineers for review, which is a very unusual thing to do. Usually the process works, the EPA looks at the studies that were prepared by the consultants for the responsible parties, and they pick a remedy and they publish it out to the community for comments, and then they get about trying to clean it up. But in this case, that's not what's happened. So that review process is still ongoing. We expect that there will probably be some report may be available to the governmental entities to look at sometime maybe in March or April with the proposed remedies coming out in September. But the importance of that is that because of the county's work and the work that's been done by representative people in this community and other governmental entities, the pressure that's been put on the EPA to look at this, they've decided that they're going to go back and take a look at that work that was done. They're questioning it, let's put it that way. I won't say they haven't found it credible, but they are looking at it, and they're looking at it very closely. So that's what's going on the Superfund side of that. And again, that is split itself into the lawsuit Harris County filed. Harris County filed a lawsuit against International Paper, Waste Management, and McGinnis. We settled our lawsuit with Waste Management and with McGinnis, and for $32 million. It might not have been as much as we would like to have gotten, but the case was tried to a jury here in Harris County. And because of the way the trial went, Harris County's decided that while we've settled with Waste Management, we're not just going to take the verdict that's given to us by the jury. We're going to appeal that, and that verdict was in favor of International Paper. The verdict was 10-2. I can explain to you a little bit about what our feelings are about why we should appeal that, our ruling, and we shouldn't just take it, we should continue on. But that case is far from over. A lot of folks have questions perhaps about what the county's going to do with its portion of the money that was received in the settlement. We started out with the $32 million. That's a civil penalty. It's not damages. It's not to pay back landowners. It's not to pay the county for its expenses or harm to its property. It is a penalty. It is just like if somebody had to pay a traffic ticket or a fine. Very similar to that. It's a civil penalty. And half of that goes to the state of Texas. That's just the law. No matter who did all the work on the case or what happened, we got to give 50% of that money to Austin. So that cuts the pie down considerably. However, we are working very hard with people in this community, as with Jackie and her group, and with others, with local representatives, to try to get the money that's been recovered by the state to come back to the community, because that can be done. The money doesn't just have to go into the general fund to be spent to turn on the lights in the buildings in Austin. That money can now be earmarked to come back to this community to add to the county's portion of the penalty. If you want to know what the county's going to do with its part of the penalty, well, we don't know. Pure and simple, we didn't feel that it would be appropriate or even worth a whole lot of effort to try to pin down what we would do with the money when we had no idea how much we were going to get, if we were going to get anything. So what we are doing, our share of the money still remains open. However, our office has spoken with Commissioner Court, in particular with Commissioner Norman. He is very dedicated to seeing that that money goes back to the community. What that will be for exactly, we don't know. And part of the handout that came out today was to get suggestions on how the money can be used, where it talks about using it to do things that won't be done by the Superfund process. And all the Superfund will do is clean up the site. That's all it'll do. There may be some money for other things that flow from that, but that's its basic job, is to clean that up and maybe repair some of the damages and pay some of the costs of doing that. But that's it. It doesn't go into things like studying people's well water. It doesn't go into things like seeing how sick people are. It doesn't go into things seeing what the impact of dioxin or any of the other chemicals would be on the community. That's not what the EPA is going to do. And that's what we hope to get suggestions from the community and professional groups like Jackie's, to try to figure out the best way to use that. Now, I can tell you exactly who's going to make that decision. It's not going to be Ron Owen, it's not going to be Jackie Young, it's not going to be the county attorney, it's not going to be Vince Bryan, it's going to be the Commissioner's Court. They're the ones that actually decide how that money is to be applied, because that's their job. However, I think that they're very concerned that the money goes back to the community, that it's not wasted. This is a great opportunity to do something good with that money. And that's kind of where we are. I will say this, one last thing in closing. I worked for Harris County. I've been involved in Harris County's environmental enforcement for over 30 years. And in 2009, when Vince Bryan was elected county attorney, one of the things he did was he sat down with people in the environmental community and said, what is the one thing, the major thing I can do as a county attorney that would have a great impact on Houston's environment. And without a doubt, people said clean up San Jacinto River, because that river impacts so much. Galveston Bay, its reach is so broad. It's highlands, but it's much more. And so Vince came out here to the site in 2009, just a few months after it was selected. Took a look at it, and I went out there with him. All of some other attorneys in the office, and there were literally people standing on the banks out there on the site, fishing with their kids, playing in that water, right next to that great Polk residue that was coming up out of the hills. And Vince has been committed ever since then to see that this site is cleaned up. That means making sure that we can do the best we can in trying to hold those companies that are responsible accountable. And I will say that at least one of those companies, Waste Management, has stepped in and sold the county. That's a good thing, but there's still another one out there, and that's in the national paper. That's why we're going to appeal the case, and we're going to continue to fight to see that that company is held accountable under the Texas Water Code. We think it should have to pay back to the community. The other thing that Mr. Ryan is very committed to seeing is that this waste is removed from the community. That's been my instructions as far as what we're going to do with the Superfund process, and we're going to do everything we possibly can to see that that's the remedy. It's removed. It's not doing something to strengthen this temporary cap, which in itself is another travesty, but I don't want to take up everybody else's time tonight, but that's not what we want to do. We want that stuff out of here. It needs to be in a place where it's completely removed and its impact is eliminated from as best we can, so there's no further damage done as a result of stuff that's out there in the docks. So that's it. If you want me to take questions now or later,
I'm going to
yeah, please.
Yeah, so what Rock touched on that stood out to me that I had not mentioned was who is going to be deciding how the money is used. And we will definitely be taking your suggestions to the county commissioners and to the county judge. But we have letters. We have sample letters that we've already drafted. If you guys are interested or do support the funds from the lawsuit coming back to these communities, please sign one of the letters. We have them to Judge Ed Emmett and Commissioner Mormon, our commissioner here. And if you would like to write your own letter, that's fantastic. You can do so. We would love for you to do so. And we have contact details for you. The letters and the contact details are over at the table, so please, if you support this cause and bringing the money back, please, take a second to either sign a letter or write one yourself. Okay, so in thinking and talking about bringing the money back to the communities, there are various ideas of what the money could be spent on, but we would like, to see the money go towards, I would like to see the money go towards something that benefits our communities. Something that will make a real difference in the lives of the people that have lived near this site. People, many of you love the San Jacinto River and moved here because you wanted a life by the river. I know my family did. We moved here for my mom's dream home. So I would like to see projects of some sort go into this community, whether it's education and outreach, letting people know of the dangers associated with the river, maybe about fish consumption advisories, or if you have well water, how you should protect yourself if you have a private well, or even if it's maybe bringing in city infrastructure to provide water for people that are on wells. If you think that maybe there should be a conservation project, whatever your idea is on how the money could go towards a project that would benefit this community, that in 20 years, Vince Ryan, the county, the state of Texas, our community can look back and say, Vince Ryan's lawsuit, those settlement funds really did help.